All right, good evening, WNBA and women's basketball fans, and welcome in to the WNBA 365 Network, your 24/7, 365 comprehensive home for everything revolving around the WNBA and the rest of the women's basketball universe. Back with you folks here after three really good games tonight on the WNBA schedule, getting folks alongside the SoCal crew tonight of Crystal Thomas and Tanisha Stewart, both up in Los Angeles, California. Con McClure joining you folks here tonight from Studio 171 in San Diego. Crystal and Shorty going to be back with you guys tonight. How is it going?
Better now that I'm alive.
Yes, everyone. Crystal almost died of a heart attack about 70 times, but she was revived, and now she's on doing the show.
With that, folks, we'll get to all the big news about today's games, including, of course, the big one, the battle of unbeaten behemoths between the LA Sparks and Minnesota Lynx momentarily. But, of course, folks, Facebook and Twitter are wide open for you folks at facebook.com/WNBA365, or hit us up on Twitter at WNBA365, at Calamac3, at ShortyMamba24, or at Pup1010 with the hashtag WNBA365. We'll get to your commentary when we have a break in the action. Is also for those of you watching us as well in the live viewing page, hit up that live chat box and also get to your commentary when we have a break in the action. Of course, guys, the first game of the day, the marquee event of the season so far, the battle of unbeaten behemoths, an instant classic for the WNBA on their official birthday, the day of June 21st, 2016. But, however, guys, the Minnesota Lynx proved to be way too much for the LA Sparks, winning it at the final buzzer, basically. Lynx 72, LA 69 in this contest. Simone Augustus, 13 points. Rebecca Brunson with 12, also scoring 12 was Natasha Howard. Maya Moore with 8 points, but was in foul trouble this afternoon. Gia Perkins also with 8. Sylvia Fowles with 7. Lindsay Whalen and Renee Montgomery, who hit the dagger three-pointer with 6 points each. And Janelle McCarville, no points. Basharda Graves and Keisha Hampton, both DMPs, coach decision for the LA Sparks. Christy Tolliver had a mammoth game for LA, but ultimately on the wrong end of the final score, 20 points. Essence Carson with 11, Elena Beard with 10, Nneka Ogwumike and Candace Parker with 9 points each. Janta Lavender with 8, Anna Davich with 2, Chelsea Gray and On Waters, no points for either of them. And Evgenia Velikova, Jelena Dublovich, and Whitney Knight all out of the game, coach's decision. The game this afternoon played from the Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles, California. Total attendance today, 9,112. Time of the game, 2 hours and 6 minutes. The officials tonight were Eric Bruden, Aaron Smith, and Jeff Wooten. 4 technical fouls issued out on Minnesota tonight, none for Los Angeles. 17 lead changes, and 12 different times the game was tied. And Shorty, in spite of this game going against all three of us in here in regards to the of us picking LA to again win this game, again the first of a home-and-home series. Shorty, regardless of its outcome, this was a monumental game for the WNBA that lived up to all the hype. It wasn't like it was when Minnesota had played Phoenix in the first game where it didn't live up to the hype. This matchup truly lived up to all the hype this afternoon from Staples Center, in spite of what we may have thought about the start time and the television problem. Shorty, what's your final take about this game, regardless of the final outcome, again, of how this game really lived up to all the hype and expectations that surrounded this game and all the build-up to before this game even started this evening?
I mean, it was a big game, probably one of the best games of the season so far. I mean, as you said, 17 ties, 12 lead changes. No, 17 lead changes, 12 ties. I mean, that's how intense the game was. They were like in a boxing match, and both teams were just taking turns punching each other in the mouth. That's how intense the game was. But, it just came down to so many things. In regards to the final play, Renee Montgomery, came through in the clutch. Essence Carson had a late rotation, and it opened, Montgomery up for the three, and that pretty much sealed the deal. But other than that, I mean, it was equal. Even in this game, their stats, overall are, pretty much the same. And in this game, it was pretty much the same as well. I mean, They shot around the same field goal percentage and things like that. The only difference was the rebounding, and that was the Sparks Achilles heel. They got out rebounded 41-29. You can't, win a game like that, especially against the Lynx. And their free throw shooting also needs to improve as well. LA, shot I think 16-24 from the free throw line, so they missed a total of 8 free throws. That could have gave them some easy points and probably would have helped them, win this game. But they just got to do better. Hopefully on Friday at the Target Center.
Now, Crystal, with you being at this game, and I just said before we came on air again that I think all three of us had to have our chest or our stomachs pumped out in the emergency room with how this game was really just back and forth. Again, 17 lead changes, 12 times they were tied this evening. The back and forth. Shorty said, the boxing match. Of how it was. One team punching somebody in the mouth, then somebody on the next possession punching somebody in the mouth. But Crystal, again, instant classic. Definitely, again, lived up to all the hype and the expectations that were put forth in the build-up for this game. Crystal, in spite of the outcome, again, what are your final thoughts again about how this game truly defined and really and truly, lived up to the hype and expectations put forth by the fans and media for this contest between the last two unbeaten teams in the WNBA for the season?
Man, it was honestly a really great game. It might have been one of the greatest games in WNBA history. I think it's up there with Teaspoon hitting that half-court shot to win it all. Not quite on that level, but it's up there because, anytime you hit a half-court shot from, Africa to make a shot like that to give you another game, it's amazing. But, man, being there, seeing it, oh my goodness. Y'all, man, look, anybody who was sitting next to me knows that there was a point in the game where I think my heart literally stopped. Like, I could not take it. It was a good game, and the Minnesota Sausage Links really came out there and played a really good game. And there's no hate to them. Minnesota's a really good team. I do still think that the series is going to be split, like I said last show, where LA will win one and Minnesota will win one. And I honestly think we're looking at a finals preview right now. I don't care what anybody says. I think LA is still going to play well towards the end of the season. It seemed like they didn't really let this get them down. But, man, I don't know, man. I literally died like 4 times tonight. I can't explain it. You guys would have just had to see me. Chrissy Tolliver made me lose my chapstick because I thought that shot at the end was good. She owes me like another chapstick. Whenever I see her, I'm gonna tell her that. It was wild, man. It was crazy. If you guys missed this game, whether you didn't watch it or whether the case may have been, you missed an instant WNBA classic.
Shorty, that does now bring me to my next point before we do get to some of the commentary in our chat box. And folks, if we will get to your commentary momentarily as we kind of get through some of the other big plays from the game. But of course, Shorty, that does bring me though to the called off basket by Christy Tolliver after Candace Parker had intentionally missed the second free throw. Got the rebound and dished out to Tolliver, but the big toe on the line, and after the final buzzer, the shot did not count. It would have actually sent this game into a 5-minute overtime period, but obviously, Shorty, coming up short there, but the intentional miss in basketball has got to be the toughest shot or play to execute. You have to intentionally miss that free throw, get the rebound, and get a wide-open look for somebody, and that play worked if only there's maybe a couple extra seconds on that clock in the game. Again, there's 2.1 left, and there was no time at all, or the clock had expired and the red lights were on. And plus, even if Tolliver would have made the shot, it would have been a 2-pointer, and still the Lynx would have won the game. But Shorty, how about that final sequence? You have Minnesota go ahead, Parker gets the foul, misses both free throws, but intentionally misses that second free throw, gets the rebound and the shot for Tolliver that we thought tied this game up at 72, but after the final horn had sounded and the game was actually over.
Yes, that was definitely a play that got everyone hyped, even though I could tell that she got the shot off late and that it wouldn't have count anyway, but still it was a big play, down the stretch, and, you have to have, those players that can execute that play, to bank it off the rim at the free throw line and get the rebound and hit the outside person for the shot, and I think Candace Parker is one of the best players that can execute that play. I've seen her, execute it many times, including overseas in Russia. So she, is very good with that set play. But it just there wasn't enough time. That was it. Like you said, even if it would have counted, it wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah, so Crystal, the two turning points on that shot, though, for Tolliver was both not enough time on the clock and 2.1 seconds was left on the clock after Montgomery's three, and the foul was given or taken by Janelle McCarville on Parker, but also as well that the big toe was on the line, though, so regardless of that, it would have been Minnesota's victory or game to win for the Lynx. But again, Crystal, well, I mean, Crystal, if you have ever tried this, but can you tell us, non-basketball players or just the fans, how tough the intentional miss though from the free throw line is though in that kind of a situation and pressure-packed moment?
You know what? I personally hate the intentional miss. I don't like it. I get it, but I don't like it. And she only intentionally missed because she actually missed the first one that she was trying to make. So that's where the intentional miss came from. I mean, as we all saw the game, LA Sparks shooting their free throws, they were terrible. But I actually don't like the plan. In this case, it would have worked out if it would have counted, which I thought it did. But, in most cases, I advise against, especially when it's that close in the game. Just go ahead and try to make the free throw. But I feel like if she would have made the first free throw, she wouldn't have intentionally missed the second one.
All right, so there's Crystal's take. And Crystal, a couple of comments your way first from Todd Mintz. Now, Crystal, tonight you actually weren't. We have seen you a couple times on television, either on Live Access or on Time Warner Cable Sportsnet, sitting close to the visitors' bench today. You were not by the Lynx bench today. But Todd though was asking though, kind of first of all, before we get to anything about today's game, we want to kind of ask though, as a fan, how was that experience like for you, though, kind of being almost like you're a part of the visiting team and kind of hearing, either the players chatter or even the coach during timeouts? How was that experience, I guess, kind of like sitting there for you?
Oh, I love it because me as a basketball player, I mean, I like to hear what the coach is saying, the player chatter. I love it, man. I love to hear Cheryl Reeve almost throw her jacket off. I love to hear Brian Agler, rile up his players. I love to hear NECA telling people that they need to get it together. I just love that. Because I guess I've been a part of it, so I understand it. But I just love it. I love how, especially when this year, you didn't really see it much last year, but this year the bench is actually really engaged. They're actually talking like, hey, we need to get this done. We need to get rebounds. We need to move this and move that. But I love it. It's probably one of the best parts of the game for me. And also pretty funny because sometimes you hear a lot of trash talk, a lot of things that aren't really PG that I can't repeat on this network. But I just love it. It's a cool atmosphere.
And Crystal, I guess I know because I know that you've been, next to the visitors' bench when either Fred Williams has been there for Dallas or Bill Laimbeer for the Liberty. But Crystal, Todd also wants to know, what do you notice differently though when a Cheryl Reeve-led Lynx team comes into Staples Center as opposed to maybe other teams that you've seen play so far this season?
Do you mean as far as like how LA pretty much handles the team?
Or pretty much how the opposing team handles their own players.
Oh man, I mean there hasn't really been that much of a difference. I would say the only difference would be that we all know Cheryl Reeves is a good coach. We all know that her team believes in her. I'm not saying that the other players didn't believe in them, but you can see a difference. They've been there before. They've won championships. They know what they're trying to get, and you can see that on the bench. Like, nobody's playing around. Everybody's taking it seriously. Everybody's listening to what's going on. Everybody is engaged in the game. Not to say that the other teams weren't, but, it's just something about Minnesota. It's something about the Lynx that they just seem so focused from start to finish. Even through warm-ups, I mean, they were just so focused out there.
Also, folks, staying with Todd, his take on the game, he says L.A. came out a bit tense and nervous tonight. When it was not until the second quarter that the Sparks finally got it going. But it was a defensive game, not the best shooting, but old-fashioned D in intensity. The thing that bothered them though was that Minnesota, as Shorty alluded to, won with offensive rebounding. Brunson is disgusting how she always seems to dominate the glass and fouls as well. Also, Minnesota's bench torched Los Angeles. If LA ever is going to beat them, then they have to find a way to start boarding after the first shot. Howard also hurt Los Angeles badly in his mind. But again, folks, in the battle of unbeaten behemoths in the WNBA, it goes to the Lynx now 13-0. Lynx over the Sparks 72-69. LA now falls to 11-1 on the season. They will try to give the Lynx their first loss again on Friday in Minneapolis from Target Center. Moving on, guys, now to the next game, the Stars and Sky from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. The Sky rally and win the game tonight 81-75 over San Antonio. Excuse me. This evening from Allstate Arena, Mariah Jefferson for the Stars, 20 points. Mo Curry and Kayla McBride, 14 each. Derricka Hamby and Kayla Alexander with 7 each. Jane Appel Marinelli with 6. Haley Peters with 3. Sydney Colson and Alex Montgomery with 2 each. Astor Nador, no points in 5 minutes played. Frida Elbrink and Jasmine Guathme did not play. Coach's decision for the Chicago Sky. Elena Deladon, 23 points. Cappy Pondexter with 15. Imani Boyette with 11. Jamira Faulkner with 10. Tamara Young with 8. Jessica Breland with 6. Also scoring 6 points as well as Allie Quigley. And Cheyenne Parker with 2 points. Courtney Vandersloot and Erica De Souza and Clarissa Dos Santos all held scoreless tonight. And Benai Jelani DNP, torn ACL, done for the season. The game, of course, played from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. Total attendance tonight, 5,744. Time of the game, 2 hours flat. The officials were Sue Bloch, Kevin Sparrick, and Jeff Smith. 1 tech issued on Chicago, 6 lead changes, and 7 times. The game was tied this evening. So Shorty with the Stars tonight again. Good again to, I think, though, it's a good talking point again to see Mariah Jefferson again leading this team again, the first overall pick made by the Stars in the draft this year. And good to see her and Hamby and McBride continue to be those 3, shining stars, you can say, for San Antonio, but also seeing Mo Curry as well with 14 points in about 36 minutes played. But again, ultimately they fall short. But again, Shorty, in spite of them again, in spite of the Stars again, suffering another loss though, how impressed, I guess, have you been though with the play of these 3 young kids for the Stars in McBride, Hamby, and Mariah Jefferson this late in the year already?
I mean, I've been impressed, with all 3, just coming together, even though sometimes they do have problems, coming together at the same time. We have seen throughout the season so far with the Stars, them being, at least 1 out of the 3 in certain games, they light it up or, they show up. But when the Stars, hopefully, get all 3, going consistently in a particular game, then I think, they'll be definitely better off. But it's just, even though, those 3 played well, along with Mo Curry, of course, it's just the same problem, over and over again with the Stars, and that's just not enough offense, even with those 3. I mean, Kayla McBride did have a double-double, but she, didn't, shoot particularly well. 28% from free field goal percentage. 29% from the field, 28% from 3. So that's an interesting, stat there. But, I think Chicago, played well. Not particularly, dominating, but enough to win the game. Elena Deladon came through, shot 90% from the free throw line, something that LA needs to take note of. But she came through. Cappy, 15 points. So Chicago, came through, in this game, but it's just same old tale with the Stars. Not enough offense.
And Crystals, I now think about Chicago, and Todd Mintz brings up. He's saying Chicago really but hardly impressive in the game tonight. It's Todd saying it took all they had to beat a hard playing Stars team. EDD got hot and Cappy played well. Faulkner was good, but he says the Imani Boyette was huge in their win, scoring in the win, scoring in the post and also having a lot of boards towards the end. So, Crystal, final thoughts about the Sky beating the Stars tonight from Rosemont?
In the long day that I had, I did manage to see this game. Through death, I watched this game. Um, and I will say, I will say, yeah, I'm so impressed with Imani. I can't say this enough. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of the way she's been playing. When Chicago really uses her, they play well. I hope they use her a lot more. I mean, Imani had 11 big points for them. I mean, she's doing her thing right now. She's come a long way from complaining about not being able to eat pancakes in the IHOP. I can tell you that. True story, by the way. That's a true story. But I'm so proud of the way that Imani's playing right now, and Imani had a really good game. She did come up huge. I have to agree with Todd. She came up huge, and when they do play her, I've noticed that Chicago plays a lot better when she's on the floor. When she plays good minutes, good quality minutes for them. So I'm happy with that. And I'm looking at this and MVP Mo Curry. Let's just talk about her. Look like she's back in her Duke days. Mo Curry came back to her Duke DC days today. But they need more from that from Mo. I mean, that's the reason why they brought Mo there from the trade. They expect her to be not only a leader because she's a veteran, but a leader on the floor when it comes to being productive. And she's been more and more productive these last couple of games. She's starting to really kick it on. And San Antonio, there's just something that's just not clicking with them. I don't know if they just know that it's Dan Hughes' last season and they're just trying to just play out their last season. I don't know if they really do need help. I don't know if it's just not enough veteran presence. I'm not sure what it is, but San Antonio really does need help. I me's there's games where they've been so close that they could have possibly won. Cough, cough, the LA game. But there's just something missing with them. And hopefully, for Marquez's sake and everybody else who's a San Antonio fan, hopefully they figure out what it is for them soon, because it's kind of depressing to watch a team who used to be like, you just have such a historic, value to them when they had Becky Hammond just go down and look like this now. So I hope for San Antonio's sake in the future they end up getting it together.
Shorty, Todd wanted to kind of echo off what you brought up, though, about Hamby, McBride, and Jefferson. He's saying it's simple because Hughes runs the same half-court offense, and the ability of Hamby, Kayla, and Jefferson that bails out the offense as much as they do, creating a scoring as the shot clock dwindles down in his mind about the offensive struggle so far for the Stars so far this season. Moving on, guys, to the final game this evening. It was the Mercury and Wings round 2. From College Park Center today from Arlington, in Arlington, Texas. And this was all Dallas. The Wings over the Mercury tonight, 100-90 the final score for the Phoenix Mercury tonight. DeWanna Bonner off the bench, 26 points. Diana Taurasi, 19 points. Brittany Griner, 17 points. Kept herself in check with the fouls, only had 3 tonight. Penny Taylor with 12. Sonja Petrovic with 7. Misty Bass and Alex Harden with 4 each. And Isabel Harrison starting the night for Phoenix. 1 point from the free throw line in 10 minutes played. Noelle Quinn, no points. Courtney Williams, no points in 25 seconds played. Candice Dupree, DNP, due to a sprained ankle this evening. For the Dallas Wings, Skylar Diggins, 20 points. Odyssey Sims, 17. Glory Johnson with 16. Jordan Hooper with 11. Karima Christmas with 9. Also scoring, also with 9 was Ariel Powers. Peanut Pearson with 7. Courtney Paris and Aaron Phillips with 4 each. Teresa Plaisance with 3, and Ruth Hamblin and Brianna Kessel, no points. They played garbage time minutes for the Wings in the fourth quarter. The game played from the College Park Center in Arlington, Texas. Time of the total attendance tonight, 6,819. Time of the game, 2 hours and 8 minutes. The officials tonight were Roy Goldbein, Maj Forsberg, and Billy Smith. No text issued. 4 lead changes, and 6 times the game was tied from College Park Center. And Shorty, I was actually out for dinner tonight with my good friend Jess Garcia, of course, who operates the Diana Taurasi's Bun page on Twitter. She's actually in town for a teaching convention down here in San Diego, and we were actually watching the game a little bit on our phones while we were waiting for our food to come. And we both said there is something there. We both said it pretty much in stereo that there is something wrong here with this Phoenix team, whether whatever it's been we've brought up, either with the the player disconnect in the locker room or player disconnect during the course of the game. But there are really there's something there, whether it's a mental thing with this team or whatnot. And as we both brought those two over our drinks and our food again, was for a team that was picked by almost everybody, but maybe the entire state of Minnesota perhaps won the WNBA title this season. certainly not living up to that hype. The record now falls to 4-8 for Phoenix this season with that loss tonight. Shorty, what is your overall thoughts, I guess, on how this Phoenix ship is still sinking so far this, this late in the year, I guess you can kind of say, for this Phoenix club that a lot of people, again, had Tad champs at the start of the season with all the hype and buildup that they had with both Tarasi and Taylor coming back to this team this year.
Yes, I definitely agree. I mean, it's something wrong with them, and it's deeper than just no defense. Because, truth be told, I can't remember if there was a time where Phoenix has played defense. So that's not really one of the culprits to them. And again, it's just mentally. I think it's mental with the Mercury, and I also do think that there is some locker room issues. Now, there may not be locker room issues as far as players fighting or whatever, because I still think they're really close. It's just that the chemistry is not there, and they just seem discombobulated. It's just all over the place, and it's going to take some time for the team to connect. Whenever that is, we don't know. Could be after the Olympic break, possibly, but now they're all over the place. And as far as this game, pretty much Dallas did what they wanted. Because of the poor defense by Phoenix, Dallas got in transition all night and just I won't say ran them out of the gym, but made Phoenix have to work for it. And even though this was, I'd say, a better effort from Phoenix that I have seen in a while from them, still it was just way too much, of Dallas, and they took over the game.
Crystal, Todd brings up a great point, and I think he's right on track here. He says, in regards to this problem or this thing with the Mercury, says he's convinced that they are as bad as advertised with that record because it's simple. They don't play defense. And, Crystal, I think it's probably one of the biggest things, though, as well as what we've seen with Phoenix, has been defensive lapses in every game they played so far this season. And I believe, though, that Todd's right, that they are about as good as advertised, and that record pretty much lives up to it right now as it being the 4-8, 4-9 record for Phoenix right now, and them on the outside looking into the WNBA playoff picture. Crystal, what are your thoughts, though, as we continue to talk about this, pretty much ongoing saga that is the Phoenix Mercury's 2016 season, because there really is something deeper than just what we've seen so far on the court?
Well, for one, my niece shouldn't be getting more rebounds than Brittany Griner is out there, and that's a problem. Brittany Griner just this year has not been rebounding. Her effort on rebounding has just been not there. I mean, it's crazy. You're 6'8", and you're letting 5'7" guards, 5'8" guards rebound the ball over you. You're letting shooting guards and small forwards rebound the ball over you. It's just, I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's just lacking in effort, but she just has not been crashing the boards like she should be. And then on top of that, we've said it before, Phoenix needs to utilize their bench a little bit more, but that's the problem. They can't because they really don't have a bench to utilize. And I'll say it again, but I think getting rid of Mo Curry really did shoot them in the foot. Believe it or not, who knew that MVP mode would be the reason? Well, not for all their pain and suffering, but who knew? She actually gave them a lot of scoring last year in Diana Taurasi's absence. And when I'm looking, Misty Bass has to do more than just give 4 points. Noelle Quinn has to do a lot more than what she did today. You can't have Misty Bass play 26 minutes and go 1 for 3. You have to have more production out of Misty Bass. You have to have your bench just has to do more. I think they should also be playing Courtney Williams more than 23 seconds a game, but I'm not the coach. I don't know what Sandy Brondello is doing with that aspect, but Courtney Williams I think could have a lot of potential if they utilize her. And looking at the Dallas Wings, I mean, glory, hallelujah, she's just playing very well. I mean, she's coming back from having her suspension and having the kids, and she's getting in shape really quickly. I mean, it also helps that Skylar Diggins is also there running things, and Skylar Diggins had a wonderful game too with 20 points, and she's getting in the nick of things very quickly. And I think Dallas, we talked about it, a little bit beginning of the season. I think Dallas, if they keep it on, they might squeak in there for a playoff spot. But I mean, Phoenix's record, definitely not a fluke. They're terrible this year. I think now it's time to hit the panic button on them. Um, can they come back after Olympic break? Maybe, but I don't know if it'll be enough for them to actually try to get a spot in the playoffs.
Shorty, the one downfall of this game, I know we talked about the downfall of the LA-Minnesota game, again, the battle of unbeaten behemoths, again, still being at the 12:30 start time. We folks actually have a follow-up on that we want to get to momentarily, but of course, Shorty, we had, as I kind of talked about and ranted and raved about again, in regards to the reason as to why this game may have been kept on television, but it was for all the wrong reasons, guys. Todd Mintz wanted me to remind everyone that Pam Moore did go on a pretty long tirade or a little bit of a discussion and kind of rekindling the entire offseason in regards to both the Griner and Johnson issue, and she pretty much did dwell on it for a few minutes. Shorty, I know that we have seen this sometimes that they'll bring up, a player's personal story, but at the same time, I just don't see, though, why this has to keep, be, recycled in the water every other time that Dallas or Phoenix plays a game on national television, because we already know what happened. It's done and over with, and again, there was no retribution, no malicious intent to injure anybody in regards to in regards to what may have transpired, and I don't see the reason as to why this has to be brought up on a ESPN broadcast or a broadcast in general. But Shorty, I guess, is there any thoughts you want to pass along in regards to this, in regards to Pam Moore's comments about the Johnson and Griner incident during tonight's game?
Well, as we discussed in last night's show, I mean, basically ESPN was thirsty for ratings. They were thirsty for ratings. They were hoping that some kind of, I mean, not that they want them to fight or whatever, but they just wanted some, at least, hard, playing against those two to hype up, to bring hype to the game for whatever reason. But it's just nonsense basically, and it's sad because the WNBA, do need ratings for, their games, especially the ones on national TV. But this is not, how you get the ratings. And basically, this game was televised and exploited for all of the wrong reasons. And it's no surprise. I'm pretty sure the network told Pam Ward to at least bring it up at least once, during the telecast, just to, again, bring attention to a situation outside of the game, that was being played, and like we said, they were just thirsty for ratings, and sadly, they put this on the national TV schedule just to exploit those two.
A couple tweets real quick before we get to Crystal's reaction to this. A couple tweets from one of our good viewers and Twitter followers, from Irene, from @justirene24. She says, regarding Phoenix at Dallas, she says, I was expecting either DT to take over or feed Griner more. Courtney Parrish could not guard her. Don't know why they don't or did not feed BG more. Not that I'm complaining. Go Sparks, to end off her Twitter commentary. But Irene, thanks for stopping by and joining us here tonight on the program. And in regards, though, again, Crystal, I know that sometimes that us broadcasters will bring up some stories, either some good ones or maybe one to shed light on. But in a case, though, where you have to bring up a story, though, that was blown out of the water by every non-WNBA or women's basketball website, fan base, media pundit or whatnot, it's like, we get it, we know what happened, so it's like, why bother bringing this up again? And I know that perhaps this is a reason maybe as to why Brittany Griner has struggled all season, as it being a mental thing in regards to this ongoing issue and debacle. But again, Crystal, there's time and place. I think there's a time and place to bring up certain issues, and certainly in a matchup that ESPN, as we said, was thirsty for attention, thirsty for ratings, this was not the time or place to bring this up in regards to Johnson versus Griner at this point. But I guess, Crystal, is there any final thoughts or comments about this that you want to bring up about Pam Ward, again, spilling the beans one more time about the Johnson and Griner incident from last offseason?
I mean, of course, there's always a time and place for things. I personally think that we need to leave these people's private lives alone. Yeah, they made their private life public, but at the same time, it happened. It's over. It happened, like a year ago now. Let it go. They're being professional about it. We should get out of these people's personal lives and just leave them alone. But this is also why I do say that, you should never, in this regard, you should probably not date someone that's in your job. And what I mean by that is like I don't mean like you can't date like another basketball player. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean by that is like you probably shouldn't date somebody who is in your job as far as like they were on the same team as far as like all-star games go and stuff like that. And that's where you really have to be careful because imagine if they did end up playing for the same team. Imagine if they really did that plan that they wanted to do and actually play for Phoenix. There would have been a lot of I mean, Phoenix is bad, but it would have been all hell would have broken loose at that point if they were on the same team. But I just think us as people have to leave their private life alone. I don't like how they chronologically, talked about what happened and this and that. Just leave it alone. That's their business. I think we should get out of their business. Let them figure that out. They're grown. We don't need to be in their business and just let them work it out, whatever issues they have.
Boy, oh boy, if that would have happened with Glojo and BG on Phoenix, it would have been the next and probably the best edition of Like Sands Through the Hourglass, So Are the Days of Our Lives, probably. It would have been the longest-running WNBA soap opera if that would have happened, but thank goodness it didn't. But on that note, folks, again, Phoenix falters to Dallas tonight, 100-90, a 10-point victory for Dallas over PHX this evening from the College Park Center in Arlington, Texas. With that, guys, we'll now get to the games for tomorrow. 3 more games on the WNBA schedule for your Wednesday evening. We have one early game tomorrow and then two later games, beginning first at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, noon Eastern. Liberty at Dream on WNBA League Pass, Fox Sports South, and the MSG Network. At 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, Fever at Mystics on League Pass, the Monumental Sports Network, or WNDY. And also at 5:30, Stars and Wings, the next battle of the Alamo, round 2 again, also on League Pass or on Fox Sports Southwest for both those teams. Shorty, starting with you, how about a preview and your final prediction? Libs and Dream, 9 a.m. Who you got?
I have the New York Liberty, winning the game. Even though in this matchup, I will say it can go either way because the Dream are on the run, basically. Like I said, they are the biggest surprise out of the Eastern Conference because you look at their roster, they have a lot of young talent on there, surrounded by veteran players, Angel McCoughtry and Tiffany Hayes. So you wouldn't think that they would be atop of the East, even though I know conferences are eliminated, but still, we still recognize those teams by conferences, and you wouldn't think they would be as good as they are, but they really are. Just a lot of the young talent, like I said, is playing. Unbelievable. Elizabeth Williams, is having the best season so far of her young career. So it could go either way, but I ultimately think. Tina Charles, who is also having a monster year. I think she'll pretty much dominate the game, and ultimately New York will get the W.
So one vote for the Liberty. Crystal, how about you?
Atlanta, no question mark. No question mark this time.
Thank you.
They're pretty evenly matched, but yes, they do. New York does have a beast on their team named Tina Charles. But at the same time, we always talk about this thing called burnout, which is something that Tina Charles experienced last year doing the playoff run that they had. At the same time, the way that Laja's been playing for Atlanta and Angel McCoughtry and Tiff Hayes, there's just something about those three that really lifts them up, especially Tiff Hayes. Once if Tiff Hayes doesn't fall on the floor tomorrow, then Atlanta's going to lose. That's what I'm saying because, she's a hustler. She's always going after it, always on the floor, always grinding it out. But I'm going to have to go to Atlanta. I think it's going to be Atlanta by like 3 or 4 points, and no question mark this time. I'm sure of it.
I would agree. I'm going to pick 3 players over 1 player to lead the way for Atlanta, so I'll take Atlanta holding home court. Todd is going to go with the Liberty with Shorty as well in this matchup. Next game, guys, we'll get to, again, Fever and Mystics, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, League Pass, Monumental, and WNDY. Shorty, what do you think about this one? Who you got?
Yes, this is another matchup where it could go either way, but ultimately, I'm going with the Mystics on this matchup. Fever, they're just too inconsistent for me to, put my trust in. So I got this matchup going to the Mystics.
So Shorty's going to go with the Mystics for their second win at home this year. Crystal, how about you, Indy or Washington?
I think I feel a fever coming on from all those deaths that I had today. So I'm going to have to pick Indiana in this aspect. Yes, like Shorty said, Indiana's inconsistent, but I just think they could just beat Washington. Washington just now started to put together a couple of wins. They just now started to get Stephanie Dolson and Emma Meeseman right on the right track. But I think, I got to go with the legend. I got to go with Tamika Catchings. Tamika Catchings is a legend for a reason. She's not going to let her team lose, and I'm going to have to go with them, no question mark. Indy, no question mark.
So we have Indy with no question mark again, so Crystal's learning her lesson. I'm also going to go with Indiana as well. I think that this is probably a game, though, where perhaps I know we've seen Indiana lose a lot of games incrementally, but again, this is what we'll see. But I'm going to go with the Fever on the road for tomorrow. Should actually mention, folks, the Stars and Wings game is actually going to be held on Thursday. Actually, I should say on Thursday, not on tomorrow. So only 2 games tomorrow. It's, again, a 9 o'clock and 4 o'clock Pacific time starts again. That's 9 a.m. for Liberty and Dream, noon Eastern, and then 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock for the Fever and Mystics this evening. And, guys, the point I wanted to actually clarify about this, again, in regards to the Sparks and Lynx game, of course, Shorty, today was the Camp Day game, one of the 2 Camp Day games for the Sparks again. They could not, the Sparks actually declined to move the game from 12:30 to 7 o'clock due to the nature, again, of the commitments from the L.A. area summer camps that this afternoon, again, that they cannot really accommodate keeping those kids that late into the evening again. So, Shorty, that was the reason why. Final thoughts again about the Sparks, again, clarifying the reason why the game was not moved from 12:30 to 7 o'clock this evening.
Yeah, a lot of things, were predetermined, especially with the camp day, the kids and things like that they can't be out, that late at a 7 o'clock, 7:30 p.m. game. So again, it's hard to reschedule a lot of things when things are predetermined. So that's pretty much what happened. And even though it was an early matinee game, we definitely again we got our money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
We had the best boxing matchup so far.
Definitely.
So again, Crystal, some logistics, some factors again that the Sparks could not, accommodate again to move the game from 12:30 to 7 o'clock or 7:30 for that matter. Again, the Sparks declined the ESPN offer to move the game due to again the Camp Day commitments. Again, Crystal, a game that really can't be moved, can't be touched because again you had those kids there in the building. Again, 9,000 plus for both the kids and the fans at the game tonight. Again, in regards to this Camp Day once more. But again, Crystal, final thoughts again about the Sparks and clarifying the reason as to why the game could not be moved from the 12 o'clock start to the 7 or 7:30 start time for the evening in your mind.
Man, look, it wouldn't matter because I would have got a heart attack either way. So I would have either got a heart attack in the evening or in the afternoon, and it was just a good game. No, I mean, like Shorty says, things. Who could have expected for those, both of these teams to be undefeated? That's one thing. Like I said, there will be more great games between those two, especially LA. LA still gonna have a great season. There'll be more games they could put on prime time. Maybe they'll move the one on Friday to prime time. Hopefully, like I said, LA still gonna have a great season. Minnesota still gonna have a great season. Finals preview matchup, I'm calling it right now. LA wins the title, cough, cough. But yeah, I would have. Honestly, I don't think there's much they could do. But like I said, I would have probably had a heart attack either way.
We all would have been in the ER. All of us Sparks and Lynx fans would have been in the same ER getting our stomachs pumped out because of how awesome and how epic this game was again, folks. And a very exciting game, again, on League Pass and on NBA TV. Again, Lynx, hand the Sparks their first loss of the season, winning 72-69 in a game of the battle of the unbeaten behemoths. And Todd Mintz also says, understandable with the game remaining at the 12:30 start time. And again, folks, as a other reminder, again, WNBA 365 Network host IFU returning again June 30th from Staples Center, another 12:30 game when the Sparks host Atlanta at 12:30 in the afternoon from Staples Center. We'll have more about that at a later time and date. With that, though, folks, we will see you folks back here probably tomorrow night, if not back here on Thursday. I right now could be going to a concert in San Diego tomorrow night. If that is the case, we'll be off tomorrow. If not, We'll be back with you folks. We will rejoin you folks, I should say, back here on Thursday night. But with that, folks, for Crystal Thomas and Tanisha Stewart, both up in Los Angeles, this is Cal McClurg down here from Studio 171 in San Diego signing off. Telling you folks to have a safe night, drive home safely. Thanks for stopping by and joining us. We'll see you folks back here probably tomorrow night, if not back here on Thursday. Telling folks good night and see you next time. Bye-bye.